everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to Call the Cops. My name is Officer Jamie Keneally. As always, a very entertaining show, to say the least, in store tonight. Captain John Greland, the commanding officer of District E13, is in the house. And I think we have some video of the captain, the good captain, because I was by E13 this week with the video camera. Dave, when you get a chance, feel free to cue it up. Speak of the devil. There he is, stage left. Captain Greland in the house, and he was a part of a pretty interesting bank robbery arrest about 3 to 4 weeks ago. Captain Greland is in the house, going to talk all about it. It's a pretty cool story, to say the least. So Captain Greland's going to be out here in about 5 minutes. Other stuff to get to. Last week, if you saw the show, you know Officer Kim Tavares was in studio. And yeah, can she sing? Yeah, I think that's safe to say. Kim Tavares can sing. She did a great job. Recently wrote a song titled I Know You've Seen It. She was also on Fox 25 this morning, and she did a great job. All right, back to E13, and let me tell you something. When it comes to organizations, just that you gotta love the Cops for Kids with Cancer organization. Quite simply, they help families in a serious time of need. This past week, Chairman Robert Faherty, former superintendent, stopped by E13 to present a check in the amount of $5,000 to the Van Boudingum family, and as you can imagine, it meant a lot to them.
Cops for Kids with Cancer is an organization of retired police officers, active police officers, friends of law enforcement. And the main thing is that everyone's a volunteer and no one gets a salary. And what we do is we raise money in different ways to take care of families that have a child with cancer and having some financial difficulties, and we help them along the way.
Willem is 14 months. He was diagnosed on tax day, of all days. Mm-hmm. And so he was diagnosed with ALL, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Okay. But he's doing very well.
I love that, folks. Cops for Kids with Cancer, just doing some really special stuff. Other stuff. Yeah, this was the scene at the Boston Police Headquarters this past week. Commissioner Davis presiding and swearing in, as you can see, the department's latest class of detectives. So congratulations to all those who received their detective rating or detective shield. Yeah, good class here, to say the least. We got to give a special shout out to Officer John Boyle, because he used to, there's John right there. John used to host Call the Cops back in the day. So congratulations to John and the rest of the crew. Congratulations on your recent rating. Other stuff to get to. My main man, Jack McCarthy. There he is. Jack recently emceed or presided over an event or a ceremony at the BPD headquarters. They named the media room in honor of Norman Knight. Norman Knight, for those of you who don't know, was the founder of the 100 Club, and for those of us in law enforcement, big fans of the 100 Club, that's Norman Knight right there. Basically, they help families who have lost loved ones who were killed in the line of duty. They've been there so many times before, so the honor is a well-deserved one. Norman Knight, they named the media room after him, so it will now be called the Norman Knight Media Room. We caught up to Norman after the ceremony.
Everything we do in philanthropy is dependent upon our ability to attract many people to it. It's never one of us, it's never two of us, it's always all of us. We need to reinvigorate the spirit of philanthropy in our children and our grandchildren, because it's really what makes America different. America is the most generous nation on earth, and I think the members of the 100 Club and our directors are the most generous people on earth, next to the law officers and firefighters that risk their lives every day.
So certainly a well-deserved honor for Mr. Knight. All right, you're looking at Mayor Menino in the house. He recently down at Government Center for the second annual Boston PAL Grand Prix. And this event is pretty cool. Little race cars zipping or zooming around Government Center. all the proceeds from this event, all the money's raised, obviously benefiting PAL so they can do all the great stuff they do with helping kids and police officers come together. Let me say this, too. This little car race raised a huge amount of dough. I'm told they raised upwards or close to $80,000. That's something pretty significant.
Raising money in this economy is exceedingly difficult, and you just can no longer just ask people to make a donation. You have to create an event that's exciting, that creates a buzz, and that people want to participate in. The creative genius behind it is a gentleman by the name of R.J. Valentine, who owns F1 in Braintree. He's also a board member, and it was really his idea.
Yeah, I tell you, folks, that event is a lot of fun. All right. For those who didn't know, and you probably did, but every officer, of course, has a badge, and that badge has a number on it. I think I've been asked for my badge number a couple of times. But there's only one officer in the city of Boston who can lay claim to the #1 badge. He's the officer with the longest service time, and that officer, as you can see here, is one Michael Broderick. Had a ceremony at police headquarters recently. Commissioner Davis, Superintendent Evans on hand, and his badge bears #1. Officer Broderick, Mike Broderick, has served 40-plus years with the department, so that's an honor, well-deserved. So next time you see Mike, you can say to him, "You're #1." Something along those lines. All right, the city's canned food drive still in full effect, folks. So for more information, you can go to Boston Can Share. Again, BostonCanShare.com. All foods donated will be given to the Greater Boston Food Bank. So again, if you want to help out, you can drop stuff off at City Hall or police headquarters. Plenty of places around the city to donate cans. All right, you're looking at the Police Academy, although it looks like the People's Court. Nevertheless, it is the Police Academy. We've told you about this before. They recently transformed or changed a classroom into a courtroom. Caught up to Sergeant John Flynn. He says when it comes to teaching officers how to testify, it's a good tool.
A project that we've been working on for the past few months at the Police Academy. And court procedures, if you look at what a police officer does, it's one of the fundamental things that he does as a police officer is to testify in court. Yeah. And we wanted to make it as real as possible, and we want the training to be as good as possible. So put them in an environment just like the court environment, and that's what we've done here. You look around, we have a full library here with the law books. We have a very, very real setting, and just a great job by everyone here at the Academy in order to produce this product. And I think from years to come, we're going to be looking back at this courtroom as a fundamental piece to a police officer's job. One of the things he has to do on a regular basis is testify. And we really want to take that on and look at that as a challenge and make sure the officers feel comfortable when they're testifying, that this is something that's a part of the job and we want you to do it well, and it's going to start here at the Boston Police Academy.
That makes sense to me, that's for sure. All right, tonight's guest, Captain John Greland is in the house, has a very interesting story to tell about a recent bank robbery arrest. So without any further ado, please welcome Captain John Greland.
Thanks for having me.
Sir, second time back. Thanks for coming back. We didn't scare you away, which is a good thing.
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, you got a good story to tell.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
2-3 weeks, probably 3-4 weeks ago, October 20th. Had a bank robbery in JP Center on the 18th. Right. And you decide to go for a walk a couple days later down to Doyle's Cafe, if you will. And on your way to a celebration for a fellow officer, for Carlos Lara, we'll get to that in a second, you see somebody who looks kind of familiar. What happened?
Well, I'm with Sergeant Krause. We leave the station, we're walking down. We were in the process of taking Officer Carlos Lara out to lunch for receiving the Shattuck Award. Yep. And we're talking about a photo put out by the Boston Regional Intelligence Center relative to a bank robbery that you just mentioned. And so Sergeant Krause is telling me that you can't really ID someone from a photo. You need a little bit more because it's only two-dimensional. Right. And he was telling me about it. So he's dropping that two-dimensional stuff on you? Yeah. And he's telling me, you really got to be careful doing this. Yeah. So I'm telling him about the bank robbery photo for this guy from 2 days ago. So you're talking about this incident separate from or before you saw him? Oh, yeah. We didn't. I'm paying attention to Eric.
Yeah.
Eric's talking to me.
Yep.
We're not even looking around.
Oh, okay. That's it. That's pretty interesting.
So we're walking down on the sidewalk opposite Doyle's.
Yeah.
So we decided to cross the street.
Yep.
And when we crossed the street, and now Doyle's is maybe 20 feet away, 30 feet away, I look up, and there's the guy that we're talking about.
Right. And you say,
I said, Eric.
Eric.
There he is.
2 dimensions aside, buddy. I think that's our guy right there in 3D.
And Eric says, what? I said, look. He says, what? I says, Eric, it's the bank robber.
Unbelievable.
So I call out to him. He keeps going. So I trot up to him. And I stop him, and I tell him why I'm stopping him. Because you match the description of the bank robber.
And he says what to you?
He didn't say a thing.
Okay. So he doesn't even try with the, I'm sorry, buddy, you get the wrong guy. Bank robbers and me, that doesn't add up.
Right. And he's got his head, his head's
not looking at you.
Turned to the right.
Yep.
So I can't see the right side of his face.
Yeah.
Okay? So, and I remember the description of him being bald.
Right.
And the teller said he had acne on the right side of his face.
Okay.
So
he's intentionally
shielding his face.
Interesting.
All right? And I didn't think to look at that at that time.
Yeah.
So I called for a car to bring the photo.
Yeah.
And the cruiser comes down with the photo.
Yeah.
And when I put the photo up to him, he lifts his head up. Now I can see the other side of his face. And what he had was he had all these scrapes on the side of his face that were inflamed, falling down.
Someone could have mistaken for us.
Absolutely.
It looked like an acne situation.
Sure. So I put it up to his face.
Yeah.
I take the hood.
Yep.
I put it up. And Sergeant Krause, who a couple of minutes ago was telling me, you can't make an ID, says, I'd lock him up. And I said to him, didn't you just get through telling me?
I thought I couldn't do that.
He says, I'd lock him up.
Well, you know what? The story got a ton of play in the press. Like Dave, we do have the coverage as it appeared on Channel 7. So if you get a second, I'd love to show our viewing audience the story as it was told by the folks at Channel 7. So whenever you're ready, Dave, feel free to give it a play.
A case for one officer catching a bank robbery suspect as he simply walks down the street. The sweatshirt in this surveillance photo stuck in the mind of a police captain. The officer was walking to lunch in Jamaica Plain when he realized he found the suspect. And 7's Dan Housley has the story that's new at 5 o'clock.
This wasn't Colombo police work here. This was just plain dumb luck.
Captain John Greland is talking about his eagle-eyed arrest of the bank robbery suspect who hit this Jamaica Plain bank just 2 days before. Since then, the suspect's picture had been splashed on flyers and the TV screen at the station.
Every couple of minutes, we're looking at this guy's photo all day long.
Greland was walking down the street with a sergeant to a lunch to honor one of his officers, and he was talking about the bank robbery suspect.
And I look up, and there's a guy, bald, with the same jacket on of the guy that I've been looking at for the last 2 days. I says, look. He says, what? I says, the bank robber.
Greland ran over and talked to the suspect, but he still wasn't sure he had the right guy till someone brought that photo.
You could see the air go out of him when I put the photo up to his face. They got me.
By the way, the captain did eventually make it to that celebratory lunch. He even brought some of the cake back here to the station and offered a slice to the suspect. But apparently he wasn't in the mood for cake or celebrating. We're in Jamaica Plain. Dan Housley, 7 News.